There's my new toy arriving. That is a Skagit BU30 that was laying out in the bushes out there on my neighbor's property, and she didn't have any use for it and said we could bring it over here. Well, good morning. A little bit cold out here today, but I've got a story here that I'm kind of continuing off a video that I did a few years back when I found an old Skagit yarder in the bushes over here, probably 1,000 feet from where I'm standing, and it was out in the trees. Since that time, recently there was some logging done over there, and I got permission to bring that yarder over here, and hopefully this is part one of a restoration project. So we'll keep it posted, but first things first, we'll just go do an up close and personal. We can probably do a little more detail without it being out in the bushes here and whatnot, since we now have it right behind me here. So let's get started. This is a 2-drum machine with this haywire drum over here on the side, and these are some temporary skids we just threw it on. You can see you've got a chain's broken. That's the main drive chain. The straw line chain's been haywired together here, so that's going to be an issue. Right down here is the manufacturer's tag, and I don't know if you can make that out. It probably needs to be cleaned up a little bit more, but this is a Skagit Iron Works made in Cedar Woolley, Washington. This is a B30 model, and it's a B30F actually, and the F stands for a Ford motor, and it does in fact have a Ford motor, but I doubt that this was the original one. I suspect they probably came with an old flathead. And this is a Ford Y block, 272 I believe, and has been put into, you can kind of see the motor mounts have been cobbled together here. And it's been sitting out here. The first thing we're gonna have to do when we get around to part 2 of the video is get this cleaned up a little bit. Now here is a brand new tube of grease tucked in here in the frame that's never been opened, so that's kind of interesting. You can still see the pull tab on it. So we'll put that back. Over here, the radiator I think is still intact. It looks like somebody's soldered it here and they cut out the fins to get to it, but it looks like it's been soldered right in here. You can probably see that. And I know the drums are loose because when they picked it up with the skidder and the shovel to put it on these logs, the drums moved a little bit, so that's probably a good sign. And there's the instrument panel, and let's see here, this is the friction. This one's broken because there's a key that goes in there, that one's not there, and we're missing brake bands on both of these. We've got a brake band on the straw line drum over there, but these two are missing the brake band. So at some point in time, when we ever get there, we'll probably have to fabricate some brake bands, roll out some brands and get them relined. What else here? You can see here, so I got some of the part numbers, B part numbers, and I was in contact with a company in Seattle, Rasmussen Rigging and Wire Rope and Equipment, And by golly, they had a parts manual for this thing, believe it or not. And you can see right over there on the mainline drum, it says, let's see, it says BU 5129, I think is what that says. And what I've read is that the BU designation means it had bigger bearings than the regular one. So anyway, that's what she looks like right now. So we're gonna, when we get time, we'll get it cleaned up, and probably the first order of business is maybe to see what kind of shape the motor's in. If it's, I'm betting that it's all froze up, so we'll have to try to see what we can do with that, because it's been sitting out in the bushes for probably 60 years at least. And I thought that this was originally a loading donkey for an old Georgia Pacific reload that's about, oh, half a mile directly behind me, that's now all grown up, and it was shut down probably in the early 60s, I think. And but a fellow that I know here in town that grew up near that reload, and actually had him over here, and he said, no, this isn't that donkey, because that was a Burger over there. And he said it had a split haywire drum that they used for moving the loading boom on the spar tree left to right. So this one does not have a split drum. So I'm not sure, I thought I knew a little bit of the history about it, but that kind of quashed that. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll see what happens as we get started on this thing. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there, and you can stay up to date on our progress.